Bitcoin has won as the money of the internet. It's the only decentralized money. Frankly, the only untarnished asset in this entire industry. Limited to 21 million. It's hard-coded, can't be changed. There's no CEO, no throat to choke. Businesses love that. Venture capitalists love that. You know, they need to have some of this control. And the incentives have positioned Bitcoin to win. It won with individuals. It's now won, obviously, with ETFs, the greatest ETF of all time. MicroStrategy has capitalized on it and become the #1 stock, you know, on the planet. And they've created all of these credit instruments and Bitcoin-backed products that other, you know, money managers, bond traders, you know, folks that don't have access to Bitcoin can have access to Bitcoin. So there's not really a debate of, is there a second best? To the tens of millions of people in Africa today who use it day to day, has it failed for them when they've been using it for 5 years? To the millions of people in Argentina that use it daily, to the neobanks in Argentina who use it daily, in Brazil, has it failed for them? Now they're using it day to day. So has Lightning failed? I would say absolutely not. It's scaling and doing wonderful. Even Cash App, they have 25% of all of their Bitcoin payments happening over the Lightning Network. They are in the S&P 500. Lightning is working so much so for them that they earned millions of dollars in yield last year on their Lightning node, 9.79% to be exact. So I would say Lightning has done more than done well. It's become a tool that's utilized for yield generation, even for businesses, beyond simply providing payments for individuals. So whenever an exchange or a wallet adopts the Lightning Network, we're seeing anywhere from 25 to 50% of all Bitcoin transactions start happening over Lightning because the user experience is great. People really enjoy it.
Great. It's phenomenal. All right. We are live. Welcome back to the podcast, guys. This is the Real Hard Money Podcast. I'm your host, Khalif. And today we do have a special guest. But before we get to that, please hit that like and subscribe. It really helps us out, helps the channel grow. And if you do, Satoshi will bless you, my friends. Back to our special guest. Today we have Bobby Shell, who's an entrepreneur who started his first business at 11 years old. Man, that's good. Owned and scaled multiple ventures and now serves as VP of marketing at Voltage Cloud, championing Bitcoin and Lightning innovations like node-backed wallets, co-founder of Imprint Digital for small business marketing. He lives rurally as a Bitcoin advocate, family man, and outspoken Christian, sharing his faith, insight on faith, politics, and financial sovereignty. Mr. Bobby Shell, how are you?
Good, Khalif, man. How about you today?
I'm doing well. I had a couple interviews or podcasts earlier, so I'm on the tail end and you're in the beginning of your day, but we come together to do it the Bitcoin way, right?
That's right. Global money, baby. Let's do it.
And it never sleeps. Never sleeps. So just give the people a little bit about yourself, your background. We'd love to hear it. What you got going on?
Yeah. What about me? So you did mention starting a business at 11. My father was very intentional just about helping me understand sales and marketing. He was just, as a young age, was like, you know, sales is at the core of everything, you know, taking care of people, understanding what their needs are and helping solve their problems. And started learning sales in first grade. And at the age of 11, when I was old enough to, you know, walk around the neighborhood on my own, got a lawnmower. And my dad, you know, was just like, hey, for every 100 no's, you're going to get one yes. And, you know, I walked over, you know, 1,000 houses, ended up with about 20 yards I was mowing. And at the age of 11, you know, had a full-time job during the summer. And that was a great jumping off point, did for 6-7 years. Ended up going to school for marketing and sales after college. Came out and worked at a digital marketing agency that was on the Inc. 5000 9 years in a row. It was just insane. I was there for about 10 years and it was just hyper growth. I got to, you know, experience firsthand what it means to like grow and scale a business from the sales and marketing side. And I worked with all kinds of verticals across local. So, you know, HVAC, plumbing, electricians, lawyers, you name it. Just tons of small businesses and e-commerce companies. And then COVID hit. You know, I was about 3-4 years into Bitcoin at that point, learning about it. And I was like, hey, let's get active on X. X is where all the Bitcoiners hang out. Let's get more active here. And that was right when Clubhouse came out and everyone was just on, audio talking all the time because we were locked down in our houses, and just started meeting tons of people. And a year into that, and building a following, just because I became a little more social. I had like 4,000 followers, and I was like, hey, world, I'm quitting my fiat job. I want to work in Bitcoin. And I just got a lot of direct messages about job opportunities, founders that were like, hey, we're going to hire a marketing person. We'd love for you to interview. And after going through all that, there were a few great companies to choose from. I chose Voltage. And, here we are today. And, right before that, when I was quitting my fiat job, I didn't really know what I was going to do. So I was doing tons of freelance consulting work. And one of my good friends that I used to lead and manage at our last company, Marketing 360, his name's Alex Wells. He was like, do you want to partner with me on starting a marketing agency, because we were pursuing acquisition entrepreneurship. Whenever I feel like small business marketers, whenever you do this for so long, you just learn how to scale businesses and you think, let's go build our own. And we were going to acquire a business, with the popular acquisition entrepreneurship path. But we had people come to us and say, hey, you already know marketing. Could you help me grow ours? And we said, hey, let's start an agency. That business is 4 years in. We're over $1 million in revenue, got 13 employees. Alex leads the day to day. And it's just exciting. The intersection of small business and Bitcoin, I think, is going to become a much bigger topic. And I just love advocating for that. But, I'm working full time at Voltage doing marketing and helping bring Lightning Network to the world so businesses can use it. So, yeah.
Okay, great. So that leads us into the next best question is tell us about Voltage. I saw you post a lot about Voltage. Let's hear something about it.
Yeah. So the Lightning Network is an open source technology, just like Bitcoin, that enables for instant, global, near zero fee payments. And when any new stage technology, just like Bitcoin, it didn't have a price for a couple of years, people tinker with it. It's not necessarily ideal for many things. It was a bit of a toy before it had value. And Lightning kind of started in the same way. It was a lot of, it was called plebnet back in the day, just individuals running their own nodes, learning how to, manage liquidity and use it as for payments. And it was not necessarily reliable. But people saw value in it. More talented engineers came over, more builders, and they said, hey, we want to make this, a reliable, great piece of infrastructure because we see the value of it long term. And that's what our founder, Graham, did. He saw how challenging it was for an individual or a business just to spin up a Lightning node. And like many other software SaaS companies, you make it easy for people to utilize a technology, give them one API, and then it becomes almost standard operating procedure in the business world. So, we're 5 years into Voltage now. I just celebrated 4 years with the company. And we're at a point now where with the Lightning Network, it's battle hardened. Voltage did a report earlier this year with Fidelity Digital Assets, big money manager Fidelity. And we were just showcasing the enterprise growth of Lightning. It did have a lot of pain points early on in, 2018, 19, 20. And over the last 3 years, the Lightning Network's now accessible by over 900 million people through a lot of top global exchanges, neobanks, and wallets. And what Voltage does is we provide that infrastructure, those APIs, the tooling necessary so that exchanges and these enterprises that serve, millions of customers globally, can take advantage of the Lightning Network. So, and that's what Voltage does is we make the enterprise tooling so businesses can take advantage of Bitcoin and Lightning and do payments.
That's excellent. So is it restricted to enterprise, big, large companies, or can mom and pop shops use what you guys are building?
Yeah, we are focused on enterprise right now. Whenever the company began, it was in the enterprise tech world. It's called PLG, product-led growth. And, that is a little less enterprise if we're just going to be frank, because it's like Dropbox or it's like Gmail where you don't have to be instructed on how to use it. You can just show up, sign up with your email and just dive in and using it. We were that tool for a long time. And, we didn't really see the growth necessary because Bitcoin was at an early stage. And, when you're a venture funded company, you've got to find product market fit. Well, we pivoted to serving enterprises in the last year. And in the last year, I haven't shared this statistic yet, but was reviewing some of our numbers when we pivoted to account-based selling. So targeting very specific enterprises who could get value from Lightning, like these exchanges and neobanks. Our pipeline and our growth grew by just by about 1,000% on the pipeline side. So we started targeting businesses that were interested or capable of using Lightning. And a lot of these businesses don't know the value or what can be received from the Lightning Network. We talk a lot about Bitcoin as a store of value, but all information is not equal across the marketplace. Everyone wants near zero fees, instant global payments, and Lightning delivers that. And a lot of working in an early company is educating the market on how this new technology can help them. And that's something our team has done a really good job of doing over the last year. So, these executives and people at companies are beginning to understand and see actual success metrics of the Lightning Network. And some of the exciting metrics we've seen over the last year or so is that whenever an exchange or a wallet adopts the Lightning Network, we're seeing anywhere from 25 to 50% of all Bitcoin transactions start happening over Lightning because the user experience is great. People really enjoy it.
Great. It's phenomenal. I use Lightning a dozen times a day. I'm on Nostr. So
yeah,
if you're familiar, we just zap each other back and forth, Lightning, and it could be 1, 2, 3 sats, a very small, minimal amount. And it's instant. I love it. I love Lightning. I think it's awesome. And like you said, it wasn't battle hardened when I was first introduced to it in 2018. And it took a long time for actual Bitcoin to be on the network, like at a significant amount. Do you think that, the growth is there now, that it's actually being taken seriously by enterprises?
Yeah, absolutely. Some of our customers, they send $100,000 payments over Lightning. And Amboss, one of our partners, a company, they created this innovation. It's called Rails. It allows you to sell your liquidity to the network. So where there is capital demanded to facilitate larger and more consistent payments, you can bring your Bitcoin to the Lightning Network and earn yield for helping route payments and being one of the hubs in the network. So because it's a peer-to-peer network, liquidity is required. So from an early stage, when you have like plebs and people running nodes, with like less than 1 Bitcoin, you can't really facilitate $1 million payment, right? What's required is liquidity to be present. Just like, with altcoins, why do they crash? Well, there's no liquidity. It can easily just like fail. It's the exact same with any other network like Lightning, where the more liquidity that comes to the network, the larger payments that can be sent, the more consistent the payments can be sent. So scale is required. And what we're seeing now is a lot of these Bitcoin treasury companies who are holding Bitcoin, they want non-custodial ways to earn yield. And with Lightning, you can deploy your capital into your own node, hold your own keys, facilitate payments, empower the network, and give it the juice it needs of liquidity so that you can do larger and faster, higher quality, more reliable payments. And there's a reward for that. So that's one big thing. The other piece is I'd like to share some of these exchanges that run Lightning infrastructure. We see some of them routing, sometimes 25 to 50 Bitcoin a day. This means just from their node, payment flows are in the range of 25 to 50 Bitcoin a day, and that's just one hub. So, is it enterprise ready? Is it being utilized? Absolutely. We have a case study coming out on, I believe it's the 11th. There's one of our customers in Africa. They have 50% of all of their Bitcoin payments over Lightning. And the thing that's unique about where they live is that the government and like the country's payment infrastructure is not reliable at all. It's very unreliable, and it's challenging for people who want to do business and individuals. And they have turned to the Lightning Network to be the reliable and beneficial network they can utilize in order to do commerce daily. So it's absolutely there.
Okay. I mean, that's impressive. And there's recent news that I've seen. It's not recent at all. It's about 6 months old last time I saw it. But Tether coming to the Lightning Network, is that in effect?
That's coming Q4, Q1. And, why is Tether coming to the Lightning Network? We've got to go back in time and understand, why this is happening. So Tether, the world's largest stablecoin, they're issued across many different blockchains. You can go to their website and you can see which chains they have brought their stablecoin to and which blockchains that they are deprecating and taking their stablecoin off of. And in the last year, they've removed their stablecoin from something like 9 to 10 chains. And what
Do
Paulo
you recall
shared,
any which ones? A couple of them.
they're just like random altcoins. I don't even know. They've never been like really serious players. But what Paulo shared at the announcement and at Bitcoin 2025 is we're bringing Tether to the Lightning Network because every other blockchain has what is called a global shared state, meaning if you want to run a node and facilitate payments, you have to be aware of what every other economic participant is doing in real time. This heavy bloat is what drives cost up and reduces speed. And there's a website you can go to called Gas Fees Now, and you can see what the fees are on Ethereum, Solana, Tron, and all of these. And there's these random, unreliable spikes. Sometimes it takes a little longer. And in order to service the entire world, it's imperative to have a more lightweight architecture, and that's why they're bringing it to Lightning, because it's peer-to-peer. You only need to know what's going on with your peer. You don't need to know what the whole world's doing. And Paulo, before he was the CEO of Tether, he was at Bitfinex. He was, I believe, the CTO at Bitfinex. And right after he became the CTO at Tether, Bitfinex, I believe, launched their Lightning node. And they were one of the earliest, if not the first exchange to run a Lightning node. So they have seen probably better than anyone the growth and the scalability of Lightning and why it is completely capable of scaling their stablecoin. That's very unique. And one thing in particular is Tether currently, they make up about 65% of all fees across all blockchains. So you can imagine, as the world's most dominant stablecoin, if we want people to use our stablecoin more, what's the one lever we can control? Well, where we supply our stablecoin, where we issue it. They want those fees to go down. The fees of a stablecoin being used don't go in their pocket. They make their money from buying treasuries. That's why they're the, most profitable company in the world per employee headcount, like full stop. So they want fees to go down for all these chains that they use, and Lightning is the best one because if they can drive fees down, they're going to get more usage of their stablecoin. They're going to offer a more delightful experience, and that's why Tether's coming to Lightning.
That's awesome. Now, will it be like Bitcoin on the Lightning Network? Will there have to be two parties supplying the channel with Tether, I guess, on both ends and, like that?
Yeah. So
you'd have to allocate a lot of Tether to make this thing work. Right.
So how it would function is how the Lightning Network is currently. So it's peer-to-peer. So if I have a direct channel with you, I can send a payment straight to you. But if we don't have a direct channel, but we both have a channel opened, let's say to the Cash App node or the Block node, I can send a payment to you and it routes through Block. So in this scenario, say we wanted to pay each other in stablecoins or you requested a Tether payment. All I need to do and all you need to do is run Taproot Assets. What does that mean? That means your node is capable of issuing assets on the Lightning Network. So your node now can facilitate multi-currency payments. So as long as you have Taproot Assets running and I have it, everyone else in the network doesn't need to have it. They can still route our payment, even though they don't hold Tether, they don't hold USDC, they don't hold this random altcoin. So you're an edge node, I'm an edge node that's using Taproot Assets. You could say, Bobby, I want you to pay me in Tether. I could send you Bitcoin. The network flip-flops it and just immediately translates it to the currency you would like that's issued on top of Taproot Assets. The next day, say we're doing business again, and I'm like, hey, Khalif, I would like you to pay me in Bitcoin. You could actually send Tether, and it just translates directly to Bitcoin. So for all intents and purposes, if that confused someone, Bitcoin is now a multi-asset network on top of Lightning. You can pay me in whatever you want, and I'm going to receive whatever I want. And this is a big innovation in a world where there's 10,000 chains, there's going to be 10,000 altcoins, and there's all this bridging and how do we cross. None of that, it has to be the thing. Bitcoin has won as the money of the internet. It's the only decentralized money, frankly, the only untarnished asset in this entire industry beyond stablecoins. And now anyone who has a token can issue it on Lightning and benefit from Bitcoin's deep liquidity, the fact that that's what people choose to hold on their treasuries where most of the flows are, and they can benefit from Lightning's scalability, like Tether has chosen to bring its stablecoin to.
Amazing. I imagine that there's going to be a ton of money and liquidity flowing into Bitcoin as a result of Tether being on Lightning. What do you think?
It's 100% true. And right now, it's the hottest time in the world for stablecoins. I'm sure, as you've seen, Google has their own chain now, Robinhood, Kraken. It's just like what happened in the early internet. All these companies introduced their intranet, their own closed network, because they've got the distribution, they've got the power. They want to retain that power and leverage their distribution. Well, the world operates differently than that. What happened? The internet came about, where everyone participates in one global network. The same thing's happening with Bitcoin. Everyone's trying to say, how can we leverage our distribution and our power to get the world to bend to the way we want? Not so fast. In the short term, these things will be used. I made a video about this yesterday. Imagine Google. They got Gmail, they got Google Ads, they got YouTube. They got all these ways to upsell people their way, the way they want it. Well, what the world's doing is it's leveraging open source software like Bitcoin and Lightning, and the market has already chosen its chain, and the world's biggest stablecoin is bringing their stable on top of it. And what I believe is going to happen is Lightning is going to continue to deliver better than any other blockchain, low fees, instant settlement, and reduced counterparty risk and uncensorable payments. And that is what is going to likely win long term.
Yeah. They're trying to box you in. And I can remember the time of intranets being popular in corporations and things like that. And they're trying to AOL the internet, right? And nobody wants all that. So I say, like, all of these things people are doing now is just going to be an advertisement for why Bitcoin. All of these things, CBDCs, right? All of the bans, all of the proprietary blockchains that BlackRock or JP Morgan will come up with. They're just going to say, we give up. Let's just use Lightning, or let's just use the base layer of Bitcoin. I just saw somebody sent $2 billion worth of Bitcoin for about $3. And I mean, you can't do that in TradFi. You send $1 billion, it's going to be a couple million probably, at least. And if you try to ship it physically, you're going to need armed people and security and insurance. And, so this Lightning will win. And I think it has a moat. But I think that there's some challengers, right? There's like other payment forms like Aqua and other things like that. Can you talk about those competitors to Lightning?
Yeah. So are you talking about the Aqua wallet?
Yeah, Liquid.
Or like Liquid?
Yeah.
So
that's
Liquid
a different
is another
layer 2 payment, right?
Yeah, Liquid is a side chain. It's definitely got some benefits. It's been around for quite some time. It doesn't have the adoption that Lightning does. So I'm not the world's not too focused on Liquid, I guess, to like really say. Like, Lightning has product market fit. It's being utilized at scale by Cash App and top global exchanges and neobanks. But the thing to say is there are new layer 2s coming out, like Arc. There's other layer 2s like Botanics, and all of these layer 2s communicate with Bitcoin via the Lightning Network. The way they function is founded on Lightning's ability to like handle the instant payments. Yes. And these scaling solutions are necessary. Like, there's all these creative and unique ways that, people want to use Bitcoin that we're not thinking about today. Lightning is kind of the glue that like brings all of them together, which is pretty exciting. I'm not too like hell-bent on there only needing to be one solution or being like too far maximalist. I try to be pragmatic, and you kind of have to in the B2B world because, compliance, KYC, AML. Clearly, these things are used in situations to like put people under the thumb, but at the same time, in a world of business, it's necessary, like it's imperative. But the one thing
Yeah.
I do want to step back and share with folks and your listeners is, that there's competitors, there's challenges. I'd like to take a step back and just talk about like why and how has Bitcoin won. Bitcoin is limited to 21 million. It's hard coded, can't be changed. There's no CEO, no throat to choke. Businesses love that. Venture
Yeah.
capitalists love that. They need to have
Yeah.
some of this control. And the incentives have positioned Bitcoin to win. It won with individuals. It's now won, obviously, with ETFs, the greatest ETF of all time. MicroStrategy has capitalized on it and become the number one stock, on the planet over the last 4 years since they launched it. And they've created all of these credit instruments and Bitcoin-backed products that other, money managers, bond traders, folks that don't have access to Bitcoin can have access to Bitcoin. So there's not really a debate of is there a second best, and I'm not trying to get cute and quote Michael Saylor, but this idea that like Ethereum or these other chains are going to win is a bit off kilter, because again, like these big companies, they're building their own chains. They're not necessarily building on top of Ethereum, but we're in a world where there's going to be a lot of fragmented building. But what typically happens in the world, we converge to one form of money. Once it was gold, now it's dollars, and now it's, let's put everything on the blockchain. While that's
Right.
not completely necessary, the blockchain is utilized as a distributed network that enables you to facilitate payments the way Bitcoin is done. And now we're starting to see these other layers be built. And yeah, I think it's good to talk through those things because it's very easy to be distracted in this space. There's so many shiny objects. And if history has taught us anything, these shiny objects often lead to misallocation of capital, like we've seen so many big companies do with NFTs and all this other junk, or, individuals who are just broke trying to get a grip of cash and they're buying these altcoins and they get burned because 98% of people get burned with these alternative things. And I think that's just important for people to hear who may not have been here, as long as maybe you or I have.
Right. That's facts. That's facts. So I saw you posted on X something about node-backed wallets. Yeah? Is that a feature for Voltage?
Yeah. So, one
So
of
can you
our,
talk about that with the scalability and the security of node-backed wallets?
yeah. So, our latest product that we've built is Voltage Payments. When we started, as I mentioned, we had this PLG product-led growth from like a SaaS perspective. That just means people can just register and go. Back in the day, we were serving like the indie hacker, the Bitcoin engineer that understood Bitcoin. They're like a Bitcoin native person. Well, in order to grow a business, we realized, we can't just target Bitcoiners. It's way too early. We've got to go upstream and target exchanges, banks, institutions that are Bitcoin adjacent or have exposure to Bitcoin and help them use it for day-to-day working capital and, sending and receiving Bitcoin. And what we then launched was Voltage Payments. Long story short, it's a simple API. So you can just send and receive, integrate very quickly and get going. Well, some players, what they wanted was they wanted to have the full accessibility of running the node, having fun, tinkering and customizing things exactly the way they want. And then we also backed the node with our payments technology to help kind of like bridge the gap between the two. And without getting too deep in the technical weeds on all of that, the other piece that the market has been expressing some interest in is a credit product where, if you run a node and you want to send $10 million monthly in payments, you're going to need $10 million in Bitcoin, right? But a lot of companies don't want to front that capital and just deploy $10 million into a node. That inhibits the balance sheet. It can just, cause some issues. So we have a credit-backed product where you can send whatever payments you want and then settle up at the end of the month, where we help provide the liquidity to you from your liquidity providers. And then, you send and receive whatever you'd like and then just settle at the end of the day, the week, or the month.
Oh, that's awesome.
So what does this mean? Right? Businesses who want to leverage Lightning but don't have a ton of capital because there's liquidity requirements, all of those, brick walls are gone. Like now you can just use the technology and take advantage of the Lightning network.
Yeah, that's a big thing that I've always pictured being a hurdle for the Lightning Network. You have to fund these channels. right? And everybody doesn't, they don't have that startup capital like that. Can you talk about some of the challenges that you've had with you kind of spoke just now with like the hurdles, easing the pain and the friction for people to come in and use it. But is there's some haters, there's some FUD, there's some haters on the Lightning Network. What are the big things that people say are like the problems with the Lightning Network? Because I get a lot of, some people have even said it failed. The Lightning Network has failed as a payment system. And that was recent. So is that just pure FUD, or is there a little bit of making a little bit of a point?
Yeah. I would just ask that person, to the tens of millions of people in Africa today who use it day to day, has it failed for them when they've been using it for 5 years? To the millions of people in Argentina that use it daily, to the neobanks in Argentina who use it daily, in Brazil, has it failed for them? Now they're using it day to day. It's been reliable for them day to day because their infrastructure stinks. They're under capital controls. Their currency's being debased. They use it day to day. So, sir over here is asking that question. Has it failed? Or is your version of failed because some pleb at home is trying to run their own node and manage this complexity? They struggled with it. It failed. That's a lot like saying education's failed. I don't think education has failed. Education is great, right? What has failed is maybe the teachers or maybe the curriculum that makes up the current education system. Education is imperative. Me and you were talking because we're here to educate and help people. So has Lightning failed? I would say absolutely not. It's scaling and doing wonderful. Even Cash App, they have 25% of all of their Bitcoin payments happening over the Lightning Network. They are in the S&P 500. That Lightning is working so much so for them that they earned millions of dollars in yield last year on their Lightning node, 9.79% to be exact. So I would say Lightning has done more than done well. It's become a tool that's utilized for yield generation, even for businesses, beyond simply providing payments for individuals. So there is a lot of FUD. Like you're raising a good point. There is a lot of FUD, and it's hard to keep up with early stage technology. I think a lot of people, they see something go struggle in like 17, 18, 19, and they write it off. I've done that with so much stuff in my life, but then people still build on it. Just like, Bitcoin, it's died 1,000 times. You don't see that it's died anymore. No one says that. You'd be the naive fool in the room to say that. Anyone who adopted Bitcoin is like far richer than the person who said it died. It's not even debatable. Like if you held on to your Bitcoin, like you're winning. Lightning is doing great. And I think what's happening is people are just understanding that. They're starting to see it and witness it and hear these success metrics. There's not a ton of success metrics out. That's been the biggest focus for me as a marketer at our company this last year, is helping get these success metrics out from real customers, from real businesses who use it, that provide real value to real people. And we're seeing a lot of things go well. And what's interesting, I want to get a little technical here without getting too technical, is in the past, like we mentioned earlier, we gave the example to everyone. If I wanted to pay you, but we don't have a channel together, if we both have a channel to Cash App, it would route through Cash App to you, right? That's how Cash App's earning yield. They're providing value, connecting people in the world to make payments work. Well, the next thing that's happening is there's an innovation that Lightning Labs has made to L&D, and it's available to all of Lightning. It's not just Lightning Labs, but it's called multipath payments. So if I had, let's say, 10 channels, each with 1 Bitcoin, that's 10 Bitcoin I could send out, right? Well, let's say I wanted to send 5 Bitcoin. Uh-oh, no channel has 5 Bitcoin in it. Well, multipath payments allows the payment to take multiple paths, multiple channels to get to its end destination. So there's upgrades being made so that the liquidity that is available can be used in more intelligent ways to facilitate larger payments. So these type of innovations are happening where you can upgrade the protocol. This is the power of open source software versus these like walled gardens like we're seeing with the Googles, the Robinhoods, and these folks of the world. When you have open source software, Andre Nevis from Zebedee said this best at one of the conferences. He said, open source software is just these little cubes. There's these little cubes. You just build it and set it there, and someone else later is going to pick it up and build it and take it to the next level. So with open source software, you can just build what you want and take what you like. So like Lightspark,
Modules.
who has done this like UMA network thing. It's basically a Lightning address. Andre created that 4 years ago. They just took Lightning addresses and packaged it into like this nice go-to-market strategy, and they're utilizing it to gain customers who maybe are not using Spark or using their Lightning payment rail, but they're intelligently going to market and marketing Lightning addresses to get people to use that. This is just a good example of how you can take open source software and build it into what you want and share it with the world. Same with Voltage. Graham, our founder, when he founded the company, he took LND, he packaged it into this nice enterprise product, and now global exchanges just inject that into their exchange, and they can facilitate Lightning payments. So this is what's beautiful about open source software is anyone in the world can take it, improve it, add value to it, create something new, and that's what makes it so powerful for businesses and for individuals.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I'm really blown away. You're getting me excited about Lightning again. I'm really loving this. So we talked about education, right? So how would you educate the community on lights versus standard nodes? Do you need to educate the community? Or,
we're targeting. Yeah, we're targeting enterprises. So,
Right.
like if someone was wanting to spin up a node, Voltage may not be like the place to go. Now if you're a builder and you want to like get started and spin up a node and do something, absolutely. But we're primarily selling to enterprises. So if someone was like, I want to use Lightning, I just want to do payments with Lightning like a normal person, like if that's what you mean by community, like there's incredible resources out there and easy to use one to pick up. My daily driver wallet is called Speed Wallet. You can just dive into Lightning and you don't have to manage channels. If you're maybe like a mid-tier, like slightly more power user, I love Zeus Wallet as well. Whether you like run your own node at home. Yeah, if you run your own node at home and you want to just, plug it into your Zeus wallet, or if you want Zeus to help you, open channels so you can send payments, those are two really good starter wallets that I enjoy. But as it relates to education, what I would tell folks is the best thing you could probably do is download something like Speed Wallet. You can deposit on-chain Bitcoin to that wallet, maybe send yourself 10, 15 bucks, and then go to Bitrefill and buy a gift card, or, just send some payments, even with a friend. Both of you download it and just send some payments back and forth and experience it. But yeah.
Well, Proton, how will Voltage compete with Proton Wallet in the next year?
Proton Wallet, is that
is that a competitor
Proton
of yours?
email? Oh, they're custodial wallet. I see. So wallets are the type of customer we would provide infrastructure to. So if someone was launching a Lightning wallet or launching a Bitcoin wallet, they would come to us and we would be the back end that makes their wallet function. Okay. So we're not direct competitors, but we would help power those type of businesses.
Yes. Okay. Now I know exactly why I'm going to be calling you in the future. We'll be in touch for sure, because I'm always talking to guys. We want to start businesses in this world, in Bitcoin, right? And we have all these ideas, and if we're talking payments, Lightning has to be a part of that. No doubt. Yeah. No doubt. Can you give an example of a client benefiting from the no vendor lock-in?
Yeah. The benefiting from the no vendor lock-in, I would say, is when someone spins up a node with Voltage and they want to use an LND node, so our node product, it's open source software. It's not a walled garden. So if you wanted to go spin up your own node and, manage your business that way, you could do that. No problems asked. There's also, I would say it's kind of like hosting a website. So like, if like I come from the marketing agency world. 10 years ago, whenever a business would sign up for marketing at like kind of agencies that want to hold people's feet to the fire, they build your website and host it for you. They create your analytics and they own it. They create your Google map and own it. And then when you try to leave them, it's hell. You can't get your map back, which drives your calls. You can't get your website. You can't get your analytics. So you're like you're just tied down to this group. It's hard to escape. I think aligning the incentives with customers is making it to where your feet are not held to the fire, where you can utilize it in that way. That's probably the simplest way to put it.
Right. Right. I mean, it's great. Nobody wants to be locked in where they don't want to be, right? So, and I know what you mean. I transitioned from computer programming into the SEO world, and I imagine how you just described that. You're familiar with the SEO world and marketing.
Spent my whole career doing that, yeah.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So, we definitely have a lot to talk about after this and on the sideline. Just a couple more questions for you. So the government seems to be pro crypto, or pro, crypto at least. And I'd rather them just be pro Bitcoin, but with new regulations and all of that stuff, how do you guys manage or balance the regulations and compliance and all of that with what you guys doing in Voltage?
Yeah. So to my knowledge, we're still the only Lightning provider that is SOC 2 Type 2 compliant. That's like some of the hardest compliance standards you can meet in order to serve, large, respectable institutions. So we meet that. So we take it very seriously. But as it relates to compliance, I mean, I was talking to someone about this last week. I know as Bitcoiners, be your own bank. Like, you don't need to have anyone telling you what you can do. Bitcoin doesn't care. In the business world, it's a part of it. So you've got to meet compliance standards. And again, like I try to be pragmatic about this. There's Bobby as the individual, and there's Bobby as like the entrepreneur who understands the guardrails of what you have to do in the business world. And compliance is critical. We have a partner, TaxBit, who helps work with any of our customers who need help or assistance when it comes to the accounting, compliance, and all of that. And we also have compliance measures built in to where you can white label addresses where if like payments are being routed by like North Korea and you just don't want your business subject to that because it is a peer-to-peer network, we can set alerts to help your business cut that off. But that's a very big part of just doing business and serving institutions. And remind me again, was there a second part to the question?
No, you answered it pretty well. The second part I would add, though, is the self-custody ethos of Bitcoiners. Is this something, let's say I have $1 million of capital to work with and it's in Bitcoin. Do I still control the keys to my capital?
Yes.
When I put it on the Lightning Network via Voltage? Yes.
Yeah. Our nodes product, it is, you spin up your own node, you create your keys, and then you deploy your capital into it. Our payments product, where it's the Voltage API, that wouldn't be generating your own keys. You would be leveraging the Voltage node. And so it is slightly different, but pick your poison, right? What do you want to do? Do you want to manage your own keys and manage everything, or would you prefer to have the business do it for you? And believe it or not, a lot of very cypherpunk, very like pro Bitcoin early users of Lightning in the last year, they're so focused on growing their business. They're just like, I don't care to manage the keys. I don't care to do this. Like, we're managing this for our customers. Our customers aren't necessarily putting millions of dollars on here. We're a hot wallet for them to use. And they say, we just want a simple API. So I think as people move from, building things for like personal reasons to then having much more responsibility, they just want an API that works. Someone might say I'm speaking out of pocket, but I see people do this. Like they say, I don't want to manage keys. I don't want to manage channels. I don't want to manage any of this. I just want Lightning to work so I can grow my business because we found product market fit and I'm just ready to scale to get more users. And it's just like, good for you. If you're a sovereign individual and you want to run it yourself, you absolutely should. You absolutely can. But if you're a business and you have bigger focuses, bigger risks that you need to take care of, all power to you as well.
Then we'd hire somebody like Voltage to handle that.
Yeah.
Okay. Great. So what's on the horizon for 2025, 2026? Any big plans for Voltage?
Um, I cannot tell you how much exchanges, wallets, banks, all these people are demanding stable coins. Like people are beating the door down for Tether on top of Lightning. That's what most folks want. You know, Lightning is being utilized more and more every day by exchanges and by wallets and like Bitcoin native companies. But there's a lot of companies that serve, thousands of cryptos, or they work with a ton of stable coins, and their business is so heavily focused on stable coins because that's what the market wants. That is what the world is demanding and people want, that people are very focused on stablecoins. But the cool thing about stablecoins coming to Lightning is that attracts tons of liquidity. We've talked to countless businesses that do anywhere from 2 billion to 20 billion or more in stablecoins monthly in payments. And they say, we want to bring that from Tron to Bitcoin. Most of our flows are in Bitcoin. Most users use Bitcoin. It's the biggest product market fit crypto there is. Let's vertically integrate stables on top of Bitcoin and use Lightning and simplify how things are going. The market understands that, and I think the market is excited for that. So that's a very big thing for 2025. The other piece is just expanding into new markets. We've found a lot of success with exchanges like with UnoCoin in India, and other exchanges across the globe, and like different wallets. We work with some gaming and gambling companies. I think the exciting thing is getting into new markets, like maybe sports betting or lending, and some of these others. So it's all about success metrics, though. At the end of the day, even though exchanges are killing it with Lightning, some brand new, vertical of business isn't going to trust Lightning. You've got to find that early adopter, that first mover that has a chip on their shoulder. They want to steal market share. They're going to use Lightning. They're going to go to market with it well. It's going to, catch some eyes, and then others are like, okay, we've got to make this move too. So that's what's really fun about being in an early stage company is you get to, figure these things out and solve those problems for people and help them with that. But it's been a humbling experience. I'll say that much, man. I definitely don't know everything. I know on these shows you get to come on and be a guest and like you get to talk a lot, but it's hard, but it's super fun. It's cool helping people do this stuff.
Yeah. I mean, that's part of it, right? You're figuring it out as you go. You're fixing the ship while it's in the middle of the air, flying, right? It's a kind of an adrenaline rush. You guys are on the cutting edge of changing the world technology type of thing. So kudos to you guys.
Yeah.
For real. For real. I'm kind of inspired. I'm kind of inspired by this talk because you're kind of doing what I'd like to do. Like you're leveraging your marketing know-how, but plus your love and passion with Bitcoin together, which is awesome. And that's where I want to live. I want to live in the Bitcoin world. Yeah, so it's been really refreshing and enlightening to hear about everything that's going on with Voltage.
Well, one thing I would like to tell you and like anyone listening to this is like we need more salespeople and go-to-market experts in Bitcoin because at the end of the day, all of this comes down to just people and relationships and storytelling. Like that's literally everything. These other like alt chains and tokens, they go raise $600 million or like $90 million in like the seed stage because they're like, our token's going to solve this thing. Bitcoin's open source software. When a Bitcoin like seed stage company raises money, it's not uncommon for it to be or pre-seed like 500,000. Seed could be like 2 to 6 million. It's like it requires people who are hungry, who can build relationships, who can connect these dots for people because that's been the biggest thing for us. In the last year, the change we've had, we hired our chief revenue officer, Aaron Bollinger. Aaron is he's a co-founder of a company called Chronologic, and he helped grow it to I think it was 100 million run rate or excuse me like valuation in 30 months, and he's done that multiple times. Like he knows how to scale and build relationships and help people solve problems. Like we need more of those people in Bitcoin because adoption is a lot more than people running their mouth on X. It comes down to you got to fly to these cities, you got to shake hands, you got to email people, you got to connect with them, and just That's been the biggest lever. We need people who are passionate, who love having conversations like yourself. You know, you're going out of your way to record 3 podcasts in a day. You clearly like care about people and educating. Anyone hearing this who has a heart after that, like we need you in the industry. Like you're going to be critical to the long-term success of Bitcoin because it's more than just coding. It's all about education and relationships too, you know, getting this in the hands of people sooner.
For sure. For sure. And maybe we'll talk after this, offline, see what you guys got going on.
Yeah.
You know, send me a Voltage t-shirt. I might be joining the team.
Hey, I might be able to send you one. I think I might have an extra, so we'll have to talk about that for sure.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Is there anything else you wanted to touch upon that I missed?
I think the biggest thing is I would just say the world understands Bitcoin as a store of value. I think the world is learning how capable Bitcoin is of payments because there is a lot of, you know, FUD from years ago out there. There's a lot of success metrics that are coming out now from, you know, companies like ours who are telling the story of how Lightning is serving a global audience successfully and Bitcoin payments are migrating on top of Lightning. There needs to be a better understanding of Bitcoin as payments. And anyone out there listening, even yourself as like a content creator who's helping educate, focusing on Bitcoin as payments is the next big step. You know, we've all who have been in the Bitcoin rabbit hole, we understand like the thing starts as a collectible, becomes a store of value, it becomes a medium of exchange, and it becomes a unit of account. The world's learning it is a good medium of exchange. Stablecoins are going to accelerate that because it's a good stepping stone from fiat into the crypto world, then to like Bitcoin, even Tether. When you listen to Paulo enough, their CEO, he talks about like fiat's not going to last. Like he knows Tether will not last. And the thing they're doing is trying to acquire as much Bitcoin as possible. They obviously hold gold and they're investing in the technologies of the future of the world. Like there's one way this goes. And I think understanding Bitcoin as payments and teaching people that Bitcoin works as payments is good, but I'm off my soapbox.
Oh, no, you're killing it. You're killing it. And that's right. There's a lot of debate between, you know, just being a store of value. Even Jack Dorsey from Square, he says, you know, in order for Bitcoin to succeed, it has to succeed as a method of payment as well as a store of value. And I agree. And
Yeah.
I just from what you said, you agree as well. And that's really awesome.
Yeah.
All right, Bobby. So now we are at the part of the show we call the lightning round. Lightning bolt sound effects. Yeah, this is right up your lane, man. This is right up your lane, right? So you're
Let's
talking
see if I
about
can be
the
as
lightning
quick as the
network.
payments.
Yeah, you're talking about the Lightning Network. You work for Voltage. Let's see if you can be quick as the payments, and all answers are final settlement, right? Okay. So let's get in it. It's meant to be quick, fast, you know, wham, bam. You just come and say the first thing that you can think of and keep it raw and real and hard. Okay. Let's do it. You ready for the first one?
I'm ready.
All right, here we go. First question. Is Bitcoin not now superior to Core for network health?
It's not superior to Core. It's good. All things are good for Bitcoin. The more we have multiple implementations, the better because the market can decide.
Yes, I like that answer. The market can decide. And it's deciding. They're growing to 17% in a very short percent of time. Next question. How should high net worth Bitcoiners prioritize family over 60-hour work weeks?
I don't necessarily think that question I asked was a bad one. My question was, why do people not focus on family more when they're in a position where they're set for life? So I personally feel as though whenever you reach like a certain level, at least I feel this conviction, I want to allocate my time more to like serving others and family. But yeah.
Yeah, good answer. Next question. Is Lightning's 24% yield sustainable or a short-term bubble? Is that real? 24%?
I've never seen or heard of that. But I think like the 9.79% Cash App got, or the 3% that Bitrefill got from like sending or receiving and routing payments,
Oh,
it is sustainable. I know on Rails, people are earning 1 to 4%, it sounds like, or through Magma. And I think the ultimate thing is there's going to be a market floor for prices. It's never going to spike
hmm
insanely high. It's never going to get insanely low. The market will
hmm
define the fair price. So that yield will be sustainable because there will be a floor.
Okay, so I don't know where 24% came from, but it's more it's in the pocket of between what two it's that was a wide range of 1% to
What's
9%.
realistic for what's realistic for businesses and people is in that 1 to 4% range. Cash App earned a lot more routing payments because they're doing something really unique, but that most people won't
Mm,
be able to do. But businesses are capable of earning that much if they manage it well.
okay, good. Next question. Is selling rentals for Bitcoin holdings a smart move in 2025?
It is a genius move in 2025, 2026, and 2027.
Yeah, 2028 and 2029.
I had three
Why?
friends who did that in the last 2 months.
Okay. How's it going? They nervous?
Great. They're not dealing with the headaches. No, they're actually they've been nervous for the last 7 months trying to sell their rentals. They've been sick having to hold on to them and deal with them. Yeah, they're glad to be out of them.
Yeah. Will
I'm so happy
Lightning
for them,
out?
man. I'm like, yeah.
Cool. Will Lightning out yield big tech blockchains like Google's by 2026?
The
I
yield
don't know.
from most other blockchains or technologies are often from lending out or doing something more risky, rehypothecation, like we've seen before. The Lightning
hmm
yield comes in a way where you hold your own keys and you custody your own funds. So there's far less risk. So will other blockchains yield more? Likely. And it is because often there's some additional thing they're doing to generate more yield, which means more risk. So if you don't want to risk losing your money like we've seen in prior cycles in these constant ways, choose something else other than these like big platforms that risk your money.
Got it. Is homeschooling a net positive or negative for kids today?
Homeschooling's a net positive. A lot more people are homeschooling, obviously. Parents can control the curriculum. There's incredible networking groups. My wife homeschools, and she went to some of these homeschool events that people throw, and there are like 40 kids in the group. Everyone's just thriving. I think the kids get a head
Mm.
start too. You spend 2 hours a day in school, you learn more. My kid's 2.5, already doing stuff 5-year-olds are doing. Like, I think it's a net positive. It's a lot of work for parents, though, man. It ain't easy. My wife is a absolute champion.
Yeah. Yeah. I wish I was homeschooled. I don't know. Because, I mean, it's great because, but you're kind of isolated from a lot of different personalities in school and that whole communal type effect. Yeah.
Yeah. Dude, in the 90s, parents didn't have resources we have nowadays. Like when I was coming up, I'm 38. We didn't have the internet the way kids do nowadays. There's all these homeschool groups, local communities. Like
Right.
it's deep nowadays. So I think
Yeah.
it's a lot better for families now.
I can imagine that. I can imagine that. All right. Next question. Should OGs sell BTC to ETFs or hold self-custodied forever?
It is a personal preference, but the things I've seen in the fine print is you can sell your BTC to these companies, these treasury companies or ETFs without having a tax basis. And then what
hmm
happens is you still have the same exposure, but you can take loans out against it because currently Bitcoin loans are at like 10% or whatever, 14%. With like standard portfolios and like through these platforms, you can get like 5%. So I think OGs that have thousands of coins or tens of thousands, they're probably selling 10, 20, 30% of their stack so they can have better access to capital and still hold money on the side, like in their keys. So, I think it depends on the person, but if I was an OG, I'd probably be enjoying my life. I wouldn't want to die with a big old fat stash of Bitcoin. I'd be doing my thing. I'm the guy who said it at 60 at $20 million, like should someone work 60 hours a week versus less and spend time with family? Some people said yes, some people got really mad. Me, I'm of the camp like I'm not trying to be a billionaire. I'm trying to like make an impact on my kids, my wife, my community, and that's just where I'm at. So sell your Bitcoin, King. Live it up.
For sure. I hear you. Is AI jobs loss for young workers overhyped or inevitable?
That's good. I think it is a bit inevitable for lower jobs. Like if you're in customer support or some intro job, you might have some hard times. But this is what I talk about all the time with folks is you need to be building new skills, leveling up and doing things that are valuable uh that are needed. So yeah, it's gonna be tough for some folks, but I think there's a lot of hope. There's no reason to doom about it.
For sure. For sure. Yeah, I think things have changed. Just like, people thought a lot of robotics would take jobs, or, people on the internet would take jobs away from regular the jobs just change, and we find different ways, right? But there will be a change. Excuse me. Two fun ones for you, Bobby. Then we're going to get out of here. MSTR strategy and the Bitcoin companies of today, are they the new FTX blowups for this cycle?
Oh boy. I think MicroStrategy, I'm not an expert at this like the True North guys, but I think the way they've structured their debt is great because it's very, very low rates. And they've just put it in a place where they're going to end up well, I think. I think a lot of people are frustrated by the sideways price action and it not just going up, up, up. But the stock is killing it when you look back over time. I think people just get frustrated. They get emotional and they start kind of creating these narratives that may or may not be true. But I think they're going to be in a pretty good position and they'll be okay, just all things considered. But I don't recommend people just sell their Bitcoin and go buy a bunch of MSTR. Me, I just buy like $50 a week for my kids, account, their little 401k or whatever. And I'm just trying to position
you do buy
them,
MSTR.
Yeah. I bought them. Like I set them up a little retirement account as little kids. I put like 50 in every 2 weeks, I think it is. Just so whenever they're like 18, they got like $500,000 or something. If I can be consistent with that, but yeah, I buy a little bit here and there. I'm not against it. I like what Michael Saylor's doing. It is weird seeing someone start to own that much Bitcoin, but I'm also just like, this is the world. There ain't nothing you can do about it. I can only control what I can control. So I'm gonna stack sats and, live my life.
Exactly. The promise is the decentralization of the network, not the decentralization of the actual Bitcoin. Gobble it up, get as much as you can. That's your priority. That's your prerogative. And what another man does, you can't worry about that, right? Last one, and probably the most important, Bobby. There's been a lot of sightings lately. Are aliens real?
I think God is a very creative person, and there's probably some stuff going on out there, but I've never seen one, nor have I seen a video of a real one. So I'll go to say there's something. I don't know if they're the aliens we like to think of and see in movies, but I bet there's life out there. I would bet money there is.
I tend to agree, man. It's just, what is billions of stars, man, trillions of stars. We can't be the only ones out here. I mean, we're special, but we ain't that special. Come on now. All right. That has been the lightning round. It wasn't too bad, right? It wasn't too bad. It was fun. We had some fun with it.
That was good. I tried to quick fire. Yeah.
Yeah. I bet you nobody asked you questions like that before. That'll do it. That'll wrap us up. Please let the people know where they can find you and whatever you got going on, and let them know.
Yeah, I'm on Nostr. X is where I'm predominantly. So my handle is iBobbyShell. Also on LinkedIn. Always trying to educate on LinkedIn. But that's where to find me. Yeah, if anyone wants to chat, happy to. So let's talk.
Okay, I'll definitely put the links in the description for the audience and everybody watching and listening, maybe driving on your way to work, trying to escape the fiat matrix. I'm Khalif. That's Bobby Shell. This has been the Real Hard Money Podcast. And don't forget to like and subscribe and stay tuned for our next guest. We got a lot coming to you. We got a lot going on. Stay locked in. Stay tuned. Hey, Bobby, stay tuned. After this, we're going to, I got something for you. So don't hang up. But to everybody else out there in Radio Land, we'll see you next time. Take care.